Vince, Shane, whoever you want. Just Triple H, just sit them in the middle, make it look important, have some security guards around them if you want, and just sit them down. But the fact they have to come out, talk, and then they have to stand and do the face-off like they do in UFC, that's, just it reminded me of Mayweather and McGregor, but a very bad version of it. I mean, someone should have sat them down and looked at that thing from 3 years ago, that match, Matt, between McGregor and Mayweather? And they did that tour where they went from New York to Canada to London. And it was like professional wrestling build-up, but done so much better than professional wrestling is today for some reason. They should have looked at that and watched that and thought, that's what we need to create here. But instead, it was like a watered-down PG version of, let's book these matches. Now we know that they're happening, Matt. What do you make to having 2 matches like this from sort of relatively outsiders coming in, both at Saudi Arabia, both at Crown Jewel? First of all, Cain Velasquez, who we know has been training at a development centre. He's been in NXT down in Orlando, but then he went off to do AAA. Having him against Brock, that's one thing. Now we've also got Braun against Tyson Fury, who's getting paid a fair wad, 12 million being reported pounds. So that's not too bad for him, is it? And potentially he's talking about another fight after with Brock Lesnar. So God only knows. But is that for the next Saudi trip? Because by the looks of this, there's no mention of Mania at the moment, but. What do you make of this? Those 2 matches being booked, both for Saudi Arabia, and is it too much?
There's no doubt they're big matches, and a lot of people might want to see this, but it's not really one for me. It doesn't really interest me. If I wanted to watch any of these matches, I'd rather see them in their respective promotions. I'd rather see Braun in a real straight-up boxing match, see how he does in that, and I'd rather see Brock versus Velasquez in the Octagon, if that was going to come down to it, because that's a real life competition there, actually.
They've already told us the result of that 1,000 times now.
So, then there's actually something to fight for. But, coming to WWE, it's just a more popularity game, isn't it? So we're hearing that Velasquez has signed a deal, so we're assuming he's going to stick around for more than just this match. So dragging that out.
Apparently he made a boo-boo and said about the Universal title, didn't he? And that's got everyone thinking he's going to head on to Raw after this for the Survivor Series. But I don't know, because that might have just been... But yeah, apparently he cocked it up the other day on an interview from outside media, so I don't know.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see where he does end up, because no doubt he's got to have a few more matches. But then who is there for him to fight? It's just going to be like the Brock Lesnar syndrome all over again, where he's going to have to dominate people. And it's almost coming to a point where it's becoming a bit of a problem now, because it's the same with Ronda Rousey. When she came in, she was just there to dominate the roster, and it almost makes people who have sat there and watched wrestling and chose wrestling over these other sports are made to feel bad, like the wrestlers are actually inferior to these people.
I mean, Cain Velasquez is one thing, that's for sure. And if he's going to get on the road with the guys, fair enough. I think I always said ages ago I was surprised WWE didn't reach out to him sooner, just because of that Mexican. He's such a big deal in Mexico in general. And they've always been crying out for another Mexican wrestler to come in for ages, so it makes sense on that sort of promotion sort of time. But with the Tyson Fury one, that's the one that worries me the most. That match, I think Cain Velasquez and Brock will get away with it just because of the way they'll do the match, and they know each other. But this Tyson Fury Braun Strowman, it's like the blind leading the blind. That segment on Raw was so terrible. And it also showed me perhaps why Braun can't be a main guy yet until he can get better with doing those lines. It looks so bad. And then Tyson Fury in this world currently is probably arguably one of the top 3 trash talkers of promoting his own fights, right? And now he's in WWE. They've managed to cock that up. It's terrible. And then he's breaking a pen in front of him. What was that? It was terrible. Was it something like Braun saying about his kids or something? Wanted to... Oh my God, this is just so... I don't know who's writing all this. I'm thinking this is good stuff, but it's not. What they would have been better doing is like a video package showing all Tyson Fury and the best of Braun Strowman when he was the old Braun Strowman, and keeping this crap in the ring, because they haven't got anything good to do in the rings. They just don't have it. They're not good. Tyson Fury would be fine on his own if he was given a mic to say whatever he wanted, but he's clearly not. There's no way he's been able to do that. I mean, I think if they got Conor McGregor, it'd be the same thing. There'd be no point getting him because he wouldn't be able to do anything. So all these people, we sort of think, oh, they'd be brilliant if they was in wrestling, or they should reach out to them. There's no point because it's so heavily scripted that you can't really get their personalities out. So it's unfortunate because I think this would have been a bigger deal had they have just let Tyson Fury be himself a little bit more. A bit like Floyd Mayweather when he came in against the Big Show. So a lot more of himself and arrogance about him, and that's why he got booed at the end of it at WrestleMania, which is not what they wanted, but he was allowed to be himself. Now, obviously, those two matches, they're on Crown Jewel. We've also got this Hogan Flair thing. And now it looks like we're going to have Bray, Seth Rollins, and a whole host of matches. I mean, this card, again, it's going to be a fairly decent card. Are you? Does it almost now seem like this is WrestleMania? 30. What are we up to now? 35.5, and then you got the Super Showdown, which is something. But I almost feel like every year that this goes on, it's just going to get more attention. They're going to bring in more of these people every time. What does this say though, Matt? Because then they've got to come back off this, and we've already seen Hell in a Cell be sacrificed for this event again, 2 years running, because Brock come back last year, as you recall, to break through the cell to set up the match. What does this say for Survivor Series? Because by the time they get out of that, they've then got to build up a Survivor Series, which has already been advertised, yet brand supremacy and captions like, we really care about our, we're going to stick up for our brand. Like, how can you try and sell that after coming off of a Hogan Flair, which, by the way, nobody cares about winning or losing in that either. But to have that on there and then suddenly go to Survivor Series with the same sort of match, it's terrible timing and promotion on my end. What do you think about it?
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't captivate you, does it?
No.
I'm surprised it's not entitled the greatest ever Survivor Series match. They might as well have the whole of Raw versus the whole of Smackdown on one giant 4-hour pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia. Might as well do that. But building up from that, like now we're going into what is the substandard WrestleMania. I don't really mind it too much because for me it's the worst parts of WrestleMania, like the gimmick matches, old people coming back. For me that isn't everything WrestleMania is about. You're supposed to have the good matches as well. But looking at the Saudi trip this year,
we didn't have many of them this year.
Yeah, there's nothing on there that I'm looking at going, wow, that's going to be a fantastic match. It just seems all it's just throwaway stuff and just to generate a buzz, isn't it? It's just bring in this guy from outside of wrestling, bring back the old guys, and let them be managers outside the ring, which I'm thinking Seth is now no longer a team captain then, no? He must be out of that.
I'm guessing that they were decided. I mean, you're right. I do agree with you, but then if you go to WrestleMania 35, it also didn't. It wasn't breathtaking, as you'll count on our review. But what worries me about it is I do agree that the matches are nothing to be excited about, but they do have drawing power more than the WrestleManias have done. Like I remember saying at Super Showdown, the Goldberg Undertaker match, I know it was horrendous when we got to it, I'm not doubting that. But the name power was bigger than anything else we had on WrestleMania this year, which is odd. And that's what worries me is that, when we get to WrestleMania, are they not going to do that anymore? Because, the money isn't there, and the Saudi prince will obviously, stick for a lot of money. If he wants to see somebody, it's like, I'll pay what it has to be. I want somebody who looks like Yokozuna. Okay, we'll get you somebody. I remember even the first one they ever did, I think Jericho was on it, and he wasn't even wrestling with WWE at the time. But again, he wanted him. It wouldn't surprise me if he just plucks people from AEW and said, no, I want you there. You're coming, all right, 50 million. It's a Kenny Omega or something. It's insane. That sort of does worry me, just the promotion side of it, what is left for WrestleMania. I hope that somebody because to be honest with you, I'm not too bothered because this is like the Saudi trip, but if this was WrestleMania, I would rather see I'd rather see Tyson Fury versus Brock as opposed to Braun versus Tyson Fury or Brock versus Kane.
Oh, careful what you wish for, though.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen. Yeah,
what happened now?
So, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm sure Tyson Fury is smiling all the way to the bank, as well as Brock Lesnar and everyone else on that one. And obviously, we'll have to see what happens going forward. Talking about going forward, AEW, again, another show last week, the second show and the second week of winnings. Surprised again, Matt, or not surprised now that we
having watched both shows, not really surprised. No. I am starting to feel that AEW, they know exactly what they're doing. They know how to put on a good show, and I feel like they know that their roster isn't as large as it could possibly be, so they are working smart angles. They've got this planned out. I think they must know what they're going to do like 6 months in advance at this point.
They do, and I've noticed as well they're rotating their roster, so we're not seeing everybody on there every week. And now they've got a new TV show called Dark, which is on YouTube. And by the way, this week Taz is going to be guest commentator on that, which is interesting. But the fact that they do that, it's actually smart for them, because I think that's something that Raw and SmackDown, they could really do. Sometimes, like, you see the same guys every week and they just lose and win and lose and win. It's 50-50 and it's just go on forever. But at least having, like, say, like this week, we know we've got, the main event match, Jericho up against Darby Allin, who we only saw at Progress earlier this year. Who'd ever think, here he is, months on, now he's facing Jericho. Now, I know the likelihood is he won't win it, but, like, look how that's showcased just for one night. It's a TV show, so it's not a pay-per-view, but look how that's built and showcased now just for that all around. And then, it'll be the next person. But last week, I've got to say, that promo Jericho delivered, you put that up against anything WWE, Raw or SmackDown, not just NXT, but any of them. It's worlds apart, isn't it? It's so different, and that's why I always thought they would win. But I like the way Jericho, it was what WWE used to do. They used to have somebody putting over the guys that are going to, carry on. And I thought he'd done that really, really well. And as soon as everyone started chanting, "We the people," with Jack Hager, and Jericho was like, what was the words he says? Like,
he said, "That's dead and buried."
Yeah, that's dead and buried.
That crap's dead and buried. Like WWE.
Everyone shut up. It was weird, and it's as I said to Matt in a message, I was like, imagine WWE trying something like that when CM Punk chants go up and in your heel trying to tell them. It would never work. So I think it's working well. I think the commentating's getting better. For me, I like the way they just talk about the matches, but I like the little videos they stick on right at the beginning of the show. They're kind of like real and intense. I'm sure they'll do the same thing this week with Darby Allin and Jericho. And there's a real, like, it feels like there's more on the line. Like when Young Bucks were talking about, we want to be the best team, we want to win, blah, blah, blah. We've been around, and they were going up against their opponents. Like, it came across more real to me with those segments. It didn't come across like someone's reading off a teleprompter, hello, we are here, and this, that, and the other. So, I really enjoyed it for the most part. And again, another good show. I think they deserved another win on the ratings. We're hearing now NXT that they do want to take it on the road. They've been inquiring for arenas around 5,000. Knowing that, the likelihood is they do want to do that. Matt, is this going to be the beginning of the end for NXT? And, now taking it away from Full Sail, will that matter? Purely, if you're an NXT fan from ages ago, you'd probably be, that's, we're going to go a different road with this. But what do you think about that?
You can definitely feel like it's changing. Even looking at the product week to week now, there's something that's changed, and it's hard to put your finger on sometimes. Definitely the adverts have hurt it a lot for me, in my opinion. But also, moving it around, that's going to take you away from that hardcore fan base that is actually there at Full Sail, and you see a lot of the same people there at Full Sail all the time. So that is going to be an adjustment as well. Yeah, it's great to see NXT coming to your hometown, but this is not what it's about. It's supposed to be the developmental system, which it isn't anymore. There's too much pressure on it. If you feel like if you sign a deal now with NXT, you are expected to deliver on day one.
I feel like NXT's getting hurt just because they're reacting to AEW, and if NXT wasn't the one to go up against it would be still left as it is, and they'd just be carrying on as they normally do. But now everything seems to be done in reaction to what AEW is doing, which is a shame. Should be the other way round.